create traditional, semi-private and private style. So starting off for the application for housing. So all students who live on campus, with the exception of Bearcat Village, must have a residential meal plan. All first-year students will be placed on the all-access meal plan, which can be changed on the 12th after the 12th day of class. So if you're a first-year student, based on your high school graduation date, it's usually a 9-month period after you graduate high school, therefore you were required to stay on campus. So the housing application goes as so. It's going to require a $200 deposit that must be placed on the housing portal by credit card or ACH check. Roommate selection has ended. It ended on March 31st. We gave students a month long to go ahead in case they knew anybody that were coming to Sam Houston prior to actually arriving here. If they had friends or family that they knew they were going to come, they had the chance to go ahead and match with those roommates so they can live with them this upcoming academic year. Room selection times will be emailed to students, their SHSU emails, I'm sorry. And room self-selection will begin in May of 2021. So that'll be next month and ends on July 15th. So students have plenty of time to choose dorms. And of course, the earlier they already get to their time slot, the better, because the more rooms will be open. Any applications or non-assigned rooms will be selected in office. So after that July 15th time, your self-selection process has ended. Therefore, if you're still enrolled in the university and you still want to stay on campus and you have not self-selected, a room will be selected for you. But between those dates in which you receive those the time slot and you select your room, you have up until July 15th to change your mind on the room itself. So that's one thing, good thing to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to non-first year students or non-required students that are not required to stay on campus, spaces for these students are currently available but limited. Non-first year students can add themselves to the non-guaranteed wait list. You may do so through the housing portal, and this is accessible through your MySam, which you should have received those credentials as to how to log in on that on your acceptance email. If the opportunity arises for housing to be available, we will reach out to the students either by SHSU email and/or contact provided by the student in housing application. So here are the steps, some of the steps and the due dates, running over them again. So of course you would apply to the housing portal. You would pay the $200 deposit, which locks down your time slot for staying on campus. You would upload your meningitis through the patient portal. And then you would check your SHSU email for housing assignment time and beginning in May 2021. So as you can see here, these are the deadlines to receive your refunds or your $200 deposit, just in case you are wanting to stay or are wanting to come to the university and then decide maybe just now's not the time, or you decide to choose another university. You have up until these deadlines. So for summer 1, you have up until May 1st to receive $190 back of your $200 deposit. For summer 2, you have until June 1st to cancel your application or receive $190 on your deposit. For the upcoming fall semester, you have up until July 1st to cancel your housing application to receive $190 back. And then you have up until August 1st to receive $100 back on that $200 deposit. So moving on to meal plans here for this upcoming academic year. I know we had broken it down in the previous presentation, but I'll go over it again. We have our all access meal plan, which is unlimited dining hall access with $125 in Bearcat bucks. And like our previous presenter said, those Bearcat bucks are used for any of the other eateries on campus, things like Chick-fil-A, Subway, anything like that, including the pods as well, for the students to go ahead and utilize. And that will be $2,325 per semester. We also have the 20-week or 20 meals per week for dining halls with $175 in Bearcat bucks. That is going for $2,220 per semester. And then we have the 15-week. That's 15 meals per week for dining halls with $225 in Bearcat bucks, and that's for $2,185 per semester. Now, as you can see, it kind of goes as a give and take system. The more meals you have, the less Bearcat bucks you get, but the less meals you have, the more Bearcat bucks you get. So it just depends on what your eating style is per se, or how much you would be willing to go to the dining hall and things like that. So that's all up to student preference. And I know I had seen a question in the chat earlier about whether or not if you live off campus, can you still have meal plans? And yes, it is true. We actually have special meal plans for the students called Commuter meal plans. So they go as listed. We have the Bearcat Flex, which is going to be 110 meals per semester. So you can see that's the first difference. They're not per week, they're going to be per semester. And this comes with $300 in Bearcat bucks, going for $1,180 per semester. Next, we have our Bearcat value plan. That's going to be 70 meals a semester with $300 in Bearcat bucks, and that's running for $900 per semester. And we also have our Bearcat Light plan. That's going to be 30 meals a semester with $300 in Bearcat bucks, going for $570 per semester. Now, if we have some students in here who are going to be living off campus, just wanted some general information, I can tell you from experience that having a community meal plan really, really helps sometimes, because sometimes you just really don't feel like cooking when you get back to your apartment. I can tell you that from experience, that's for sure. So moving on here, we're going to be taking a look at our living learning communities. So after students are advised, they then can contact first year experience here at Sam Houston to apply for a living learning community. Below are the current communities that SHSU are offering. So at Piney Woods Hall, we are offering our honors living learning community, Bearcat living learning community, our agriculture living learning community, listing on education, pre-med, pre-nursing, health science, pre-law, ROTC or military science, humanities and social sciences, STEM, and first generation. At Lone Star Hall, we are offering our criminal justice living learning community. And at Belvin Buchanan, we are offering our College of Arts and Media. And we actually just had a live tour of that yesterday on our Facebook page for Residence Life. And that is posted on there if y'all are interested in taking a look at that. So what these living learning communities are is pretty much a community of students who are taking the same classes. They're of the same major and or study area. And they're just surrounded by students who are going through the same things that the other students are. They're taking the same classes, taking the same type of classes. That way they can go ahead and communicate, get together to study. They have a better chance at creating a better study environment. That way they all know exactly what they're going through, because of course, education majors study differently than they do with agricultural majors or vice versa with health science, pre-law. It's all different. So some students like to know the fact that the students they're surrounded by are going through the same things they are, so they can all study together and talk together and everything like that. So that's a very unique opportunity we offer here at Sam Houston. And if you're interested, please get in contact with First Year Experience. So now we're going to be taking a look at our room styles. We're going to start off here with our traditional style. So as you can see on that layout, it's going to be 2 people on one side of the room and 2 people on the other side of the room, separated by a Jack and Jill style restroom with 2 sinks, a shower, and a toilet. If we take a look down here, our traditional styles that we offer here on campus currently is going to be Belvin Buchanan, Elliott, Estill, Jackson Shaver, Baldwin, Crawford, Krieger, and Mallon. So these are obviously going to be our more common housing styles that we have here on campus. So students tend to like these a little bit more because it gives you a little bit more of the, like it says, their traditional college experience, having, so many roommates, and the only thing really, and it's better than having a community bathrooms. That's one thing I can say. Sam Houston does not have any community bathrooms located anywhere on campus. The most you'll ever have to share is 4 people to 1 bathroom with 2 sinks, a shower, and a toilet. And there's plenty of room for anyone. I can promise you that. As we move on, we take a look at our upgrade traditional. So this is actually only available at Piney Woods Hall, which is our newest and largest hall on campus. As you can see there, it's generally the same layout with two people on one side of the room and 2 people on the other side of the room, separated by a Jack and Jill style restroom with 2 sinks, a shower, and a toilet. As you can see here, it comes with a little bit more amenities, like a full-size fridge and a microwave there at Piney Woods Hall. It also does have a type of closet for students to go ahead and utilize with each side for each student, giving them just enough room to go ahead and put all their clothes and other things like that. There at Piney Woods Hall, they have study rooms on each floor. They offer, as we saw before, most of the community learning, living learning communities. And they also have a thermostat in a room, and they are right across the street from General's Market. So that's pretty nice. Moving on, we're going to take a look at our semi-private style. This is another exclusive room layout that we have on campus. It's only available at Lone Star Hall. So as you can see, the privacy goes up a little bit with only offering 2 students per room with 1 bathroom, 1 sink, a shower, and a toilet. As you can see there on the diagram, you have a half wall separating between you and your roommate. Each student gets their own wardrobe as well as desk and chair. And right across from the amenities, right in front of the bathroom, you'll be able to get a half-size refrigerator and microwave. There is a ceiling fan on each side of the room, so students can regulate the temperature pretty easily. And there is a thermostat in room as well. Lone Star Hall is located super close to the criminal justice building. And in fact, you can probably see the criminal justice building right from outside your window. So any CJ majors out there who are wanting to find a good place to live, I think this is a great option for you. Moving on, we can take a look at our private style. So the private style, as it says there, it's going to have a room for each student individually with a room in the door that does lock. Inside that room, the student does get a wardrobe and a desk, as well as a small nightstand for them to go ahead and use. The only thing they really share with their roommates besides the living room area is also going to be the bathroom area with 2 sinks, a shower, and a toilet. They do have a small kitchenette, but it is not a full kitchen. It does not come with a stove, but it will come with a microwave and a sink. Our private style is available on campus. It's going to be Raven Village, Sam Houston Village, and Bearcat Village. But as I had said earlier, Bearcat Village is not available to first-year students. You do have to stay. You do have to be an upperclassman to stay at Bearcat Village because it has a full-sized kitchen with a stove and a microwave and a refrigerator and all. So moving on. So life on campus, there's a small link that y'all can follow there. There are things to bring, such as what your bed requirements are going to be. I can tell you right now, they're going to be twin extra longs. So it's something to remember, and that's going to be all across the entire campus. Every room is going to have a twin extra long size mattress. But in that link, it's also going to tell you some other things you may be able to bring. Of course, you don't want to forget anything or have to get here and go and buy stuff and things like that. So that'll be pretty helpful. They're all hall events all across campus, depending on which hall you live in. Those RAs and RHDs are usually the ones who run those. There are definitely organizations all across campus. There's plenty of organizations, and I do implore students to go ahead and get involved because it's a great way to make friends, great ways to reach out not only to your friends outside of your hall, but also in your hall. We have our Lowen Student Center, of course, where we have all of our main eateries, and then we also have the Lowen Student Center itself, where we have some games and stuff like that for students to go ahead and utilize as well. And then we do have campus events out in the mall area for students to go ahead and entertain themselves with, as well. So we have plenty of options for students to go ahead and keep themselves busy besides all the schoolwork. So if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact us by the information below. We're open Monday through Friday here at the Residence Life office from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our phone right there, 936-294-1812. You'll be able to get in contact with one of the many housing ambassadors between those hours. And of course, if you have any other questions or concerns, and you come up with them after office hours, please feel free to email at any time to the reslife at shsu.edu email address, and we'll be able to help you out to the best of our ability.
Okay, let's get to questions. Thanks, Chris. I think we have a ton of questions, so I want to go ahead and get started on these. And I know we were having some in and out audio issues. So I think the main question happening right now is, so roommate selection did close. So what is an option for a student that missed that roommate selection? What can they do from here? Or if they have someone that they do want to room with, what can they do to ensure that they could maybe room together?
Okay, so sorry, I'm gonna try not to get the audio messed up. So what students can do if they missed roommate selection and they are worried about wanting to live with someone that they do know, what you can do is try and get with that person and find out when they pay their $200 deposit, because depending on when they paid that $200 deposit, they've made it within a certain wave of time slots. And so if you know when that person paid it, you know generally when that time slot is going to be. So if you paid it before they did, you'll know you'll get your time slot before they will. If they paid it after, they'll get it after you. And what you can do is when your time slot opens, you're not required to choose a room right at that moment. So you can wait until your potential roommate's time slot opens as well. So you can both try to find a room together, because once your time slot opens, it's going to open up pretty much an overview of all the halls on campus and what you can choose from. And when you hover over a room, it'll tell you whether or not one or both beds are available within that room. So of course, you and your roommate will be looking for a room that has 2 beds available. Now, as the summer goes on, and as we reach that date of July 15th, those type of rooms may become a little bit less available because more students are trickling in as the summer goes on. But the best that you can do if you did miss that roommate selection process is try and choose the room at the same time. That way you can go ahead and get within that room that has 2 empty bed spaces.
Okay, and I do want to just clarify with y'all, because I know from our office, we send everything to a student's SHSU email account. Is that the same for you all?
Yes, it is. Any sort of information regarding the university will always be sent to their Sam Houston State University email address. And of course, we implore students to try, especially coming closer to the time that which the time slot dates will be sent out. Try and check it every day if you can, just once a day. It'll be very helpful, so you can go ahead and be kept up to date, especially with information regarding residence life, because all throughout the summer we'll be sending out emails with special information.
Okay. Yeah, I know that a lot of students, I don't know, I always check my email constantly, I guess because it's just I'm that person. But yeah, I definitely urge your student to add their Outlook to their phone. That way any email communication that they're getting, they'll be able to get it through there. And if you feel like the contact info is incorrect, you can definitely contact us so that we can check it and make sure that they're receiving the info to the correct email. What was another good question? Oh, live and learning communities. So if a student isn't like an education major or CJ major, can they still live in that residence hall even though they're not a part of that learning community?
Yes, they can. So whenever a living learning community selects a hall for them to go ahead and house in, they're only selecting a couple of rooms within that hall. So if you are interested in a living learning community, just make sure you get in contact with them, because those bed spaces do fill up. Because of course, we're not offering the entire hall to that one living learning community. We're offering just a couple. So that way you know that they may fill up, but you still have a chance.
Okay. Yeah, and what date is move-in going to start for freshmen?
Freshman move-in date is August the, sorry, let me find out just 1 second.
Yeah, move-in for freshmen is normally middle, late to August. Chris will get the date for us, but
I'll get the exact date for you.
You have what?
I'll get the exact date for you.
Oh yeah, and then what do you I mean, I guess what COVID protocols are going to be happening for move-in? I think that the move-in was a little bit different last year. So what does that look like for this year?
So as of now, COVID protocols, until our president decides to change them, it will stay the same. It will not change. So masks are required all across campus, especially inside the halls as well. What I mean by that is throughout the hallways, if you're leaving your room for anything, you do have to put your mask on and stay socially distanced as possible, including in the elevators. So they have signs posted up everywhere still. And if any of that changes, of course, the entire university will be let know, and we will let our students know as well if anything changes within the halls as well regarding COVID-19 regulations.
Okay.
And the halls will be opening for residency between the days of August 13th to August 15th.
Okay, perfect. And then let me see. We did get a kind of a specific question. If your student's on like an athletic team, cheer team, you would have to check with their coach. I know normally like the football team will move in a lot earlier because they have summer and all of those things, summer workouts. So that's just something that your student would have to check with their coach about. But other than that, any general move-ins would be through the 13th through the 15th. Let me see. Oh, and then what does it look like? Like, can you move beds around? Can you stack beds? Like, can you move all the furniture around? I know that is a question I normally get from students too.
So yeah, students are, they're allowed to move the furniture around. We do ask that if they want to loft their beds, which some of the beds are available to be lofted in a couple of the dorms across campus, we do ask that they get in contact with maintenance so they can go ahead and loft it themselves, because of course we don't want you moving your bed and then it falling in the middle of the night, anything like that. So we do ask that students get in contact with maintenance so they can go ahead and do that for you. But when it comes to moving your furniture around your room, like your wardrobe, your nightstand, or the bed itself, without lofting it, of course, you can move that however which way you want in agreement with your roommate.
Okay. Let me see, what was another one? Oh gosh. Oh, about the COVID vaccine. So as of right now, no information has been given out to us about any kind of requirement for the COVID vaccine, anything like that. Again, those will all come out. And when that information does come out, it's sent out to all the departments. So we try and send it out as well to everyone. So definitely have your student keep checking in on things, check all the social medias, things like that. They'll definitely be able to get that information. So for the move-in process, someone did ask if there was a limit on the amount of students that can help someone move in. Normally it takes an army, but I will say that last year there was, I think there was a limit, but like Chris said a little bit earlier, that they don't want to make a call too early. So any precautions that they're going to have for move-in come August will get emailed out to your student. And I did also get a question, can a student contact their roommate if they don't know who their roommate is prior to their move-in date? What's a good way for that to happen?
In order to get in contact with the roommate or get roommate information, they just have to email reslife@shsu.edu and just ask for roommate information after they went ahead and selected their dorm. So that's all they pretty much have to do. Our supervisors will go ahead and send them the student's email address and they can start emailing each other. And after that, get social media information and stuff like that, or numbers, or however which way they want to contact each other.
Definitely. Oh, and what does laundry look like for people who live on campus?
So each hall on campus will have its own laundry areas. I know depending what's hall, of course, the bigger the hall, the more laundry options that you'll have within that hall, or laundry machines. So it just varies per hall, but each hall will have laundry locations inside of each hall.
Okay. And then in terms of like what you can bring into each room, what's allowed, what's not allowed, because some will have a refrigerator, some will not. So where can they find that information as well?
That information can be found in their student handbook, the Reslife student handbook, and that can be found on Reslife or shsu.edu/Reslife. If you just look on there under forms, the student handbook should be there. And it varies per dorm on what you can and can't bring. One thing that kind of is universal from all the dorms, though, is you cannot bring anything that gives any heating elements. So like a traditional coffee pot or hot plate or something like, or anything really of that matter would not be allowed. But something like a Keurig is fine. But it's like I said, it's more safe for students to go ahead and take a look at the student handbook. They can see what they can and cannot bring per hall.
Okay. And then I know y'all's website, I've seen it, it looks great. It has the all the information on the like dimensions and like the sizes for the rooms, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so yeah, the Residence Life website is definitely the place to go for any dimensions if you're trying to see like, can I fit a 50-inch TV in here? What does that look like? Different things. I had a student last week ask if they could bring an 80-inch TV, and I just said, you have an 80-inch TV, right then. Parking. So we haven't really touched on that yet, but yes, at a lot of other institutions, your student is not allowed to bring a vehicle their first year. At CM Houston, they are allowed to purchase a parking pass, so they can't have that vehicle. So we can put that in the chat as well for parking and transportation. They will just have to buy that that residence, the residency parking pass, and so they would just have to pick the one that's closest to their residence hall. Do y'all allow Doordash at the residence halls?
We do. We do ask students meet the DoorDasher at the front of the hall, because no one besides students, of course, are allowed inside the hall itself. They do have to swipe in to get anywhere inside the hall or inside the hall itself. So we do ask students to go ahead and meet the DoorDasher downstairs and outside.
Okay. I was going to say we DoorDash all the time. So transfer students. So transfer students are not required to live on campus their first year. However, that doesn't mean that they cannot. Chris, do you want to kind of explain a little bit on that, like what it would look like if a transfer student wanted to live on campus?
So if a transfer student, they want to live on campus, the application process would be the same, depending on availability. Right now, I know transfer students who are coming in there are places available. You can put yourself on a wait list, and we will get in contact with you once we're able to accommodate you, or if we are able to accommodate you, depending on our availability. But the application process itself would be completely the same between a transfer student and a first year required. It's just depending on if you want to live on campus or not.
For freshmen, yes, it is required that they live on campus. However, there is a waiver available for any student that lives within a 40-mile radius of campus. So if they did want to commute, it's just up to residence life approval.
And I'll touch base on that real quick with the first year waiver. So as a students, if they do live within a 60-mile radius, they can live off campus as long as they're living with a relative, such as a mother, father, grandparents, or blood siblings. That's the only requirements there really is, and of course being within the 60-mile radius itself. And those forms can be found online under shsu.edu/reslife and under forms. You can find that form there as well, and you can go ahead and fax that in, scan that in, or bring it in person. We do require there with that documentation that we provide some sort of documentation from the house itself that lists the address, and then a copy of the parent or whoever the students could be staying with, their driver's license with this name on the bill, with the address correlating on each driver's license and the document itself.
Okay. I have a question. How long are time slots open for room selection? How long is that time slot?
So once you receive your time slot, it actually stays open up until July 15th. So it's just really the start date in which you can go in there. That way, since we do run on a first come first serve basis, based on when you pay that $200 deposit, you'll get, once your time slot opens, it'll stay open up until July 15th. So you can choose your room then, right on the day of your time slot. And then later on, if you change your mind or you find someone that you do want to room with and you guys decide to move into a different dorm together, or you find a room with 2 bed spaces, you're more than welcome to do that all the way up until July 15th.
Okay, perfect. And I might have missed this as well, but when did you say that email would go out for slot selection times?
So those emails will be sent out this month in April, within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, perfect. And that is a good segue. So if you feel like, if your student is not receiving emails, which sometimes can happen, sometimes the email that they applied with on their apply Texas is the email that things will go to, or just depending on the office. So please reach out to our office at accepted@shsu.edu and check your student's email with us, so that we can make sure that all of their address, their email, phone number, everything's up to date, so that we can make sure that they're getting the correct information. It does happen sometimes. Let me see. What were the 2 residence halls with private rooms? Or
that is going to be Raven Village and Sam Houston Village for freshmen and other students, and the upperclassmen only is going to be Bearcat Village.
Okay, so can you explain, we have a question. So yes, dorm selection begins May 1st, but what has happened up until then with roommate selection? I think what is the difference between that?
With roommate selection and room selection itself, the roommate selection, all you're doing is pairing yourself up with the roommate. That way, you know that once you'll both receive the same time slot at the same exact time. That way you are both more likely to go ahead and find a room with 2 beds in it. So it pretty much just links you both together. And the room selection itself is when you receive that time slot in which you can log back into your housing portal and select the room itself. So the room selection or the roommate selection is to link you with the roommate, and the room selection is to choose the room.
Okay, perfect. And yes, roommate selection did close, I believe, at
March 31st.
March 31st. Yes. So what does that look like if a student wants to room with someone, they meet someone at orientation or Bearcat camp, and they say, I want this person to be my roommate, but they're already in a dorm or in a residence hall with another student. Is there an option for them? What does that look like?
So if they're already in a room with another student, and so you mean as in someone who's already staying here?
Yeah, so I have selected my residence hall. I'm staying at Piney Woods and I have a bed already, and I'm rooming with someone that I don't know, but now I've met someone and I would really like to room with them. So what can I do from there?
So what you can do is after the 12th day of class, we open up our hall room transfer sheets online. That's just an option just in case you either you just not liking the room itself, or you do, like in that situation, find someone that you do want to room with. You can fill that out. Now you can fill it out to change the room within your dorm. Say you want to stay in the dorm, but you want to move to a different room, you can do that. And also you can fill out the other options to change the hall in particular. And you can choose one of 3 options, or 1, 2, 3, which one what you want, most to least. And you can go through that option as well. And we will get in contact with you once we can accommodate you.
Okay, perfect. And I definitely would say, I did go to Sam Houston myself as an undergrad, and that your student being in contact with their resident advisor, with their student resident advisor, their RA is definitely a relationship worth cultivating. That person will be able to help you out with your student out with any room swaps, issues, questions that they want to have. So making sure that your student knows who their RA is, so that they can get any of those questions answered. That's definitely a relationship that your student would want to have. We did get another one. Oh, so what does security look like for each of the residence halls?
So security wise, of course, we have our university police always on patrol all day long, all night long. But regarding security itself for each dorm, each student will receive their Bearcat 1 card once they make it to campus. And that Bearcat 1 card on the back, it'll have a gold stripe. The black stripe will be able to swipe you into things like your dorm, and will only be able to swipe you into the dorm that you live in. So that card is not a universal swipe. It's only to where you live. And of course, you will need to be swiped in to get inside the door or inside the dorm itself. You need to swipe in to get into stairwells, elevators, and everything like that. Pretty much any sort of entrance in and out of the building or into the upper floors of the building, you'll need to swipe in to get there.
Okay, perfect. And then I have gotten a question a lot this year about like a curfew or like a can you have the opposite sex in your student's dorm room? What does that look like? What does guest and visitor rules regulations look like?
So depending on the dorm, we do have visitation hours. After a certain time, the RAs and everything they will ask the students, they'll take the visitors out of the dorm. Of course, they'll have to escort them out. If you have a visitor, say you're staying somewhere, you have a visitor, you will need to escort them in and escort them out, because we do have a very strict rule that the people who are going to be in the dorm that they're in itself, they have to be living there unless they're a visitor being escorted. We do have a time that we ask for visitors to leave, and of course RAs do room checks throughout the night and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. What is another question I got? Oh,
Questions of laundry being free. Yeah. It is free. Laundry on campus is completely free. Even if you see a coin slot there on the machine itself, it's only there to reset it. It doesn't actually ask for any money. So it is completely free all across campus.
yeah, definitely. That was a big perk, was that the laundry was free. And you could just, the only thing is that the RA will just say that you need to get it moved through quickly. You can't have it sit in there for 3 days. So dates. So what is the next date coming up is going to be room selection, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And so that will go out within the next 2 weeks. So beginning in May will be the student's room selection. So I guess my best advice would be if your student really wants to stay at Piney Woods, and maybe that's a residence hall that fills up really quickly. So definitely have 2 or 3 other options for your student, just in case they're not getting that first one that they really wanted. That is definitely my best advice.
I see someone asking about an application date deadline. There technically is not a deadline to apply for housing, but of course you want to get it done as soon as possible. The earlier you pay the $200 deposit, the earlier your time slot will be, which means a better chance of you getting the dorm of your choice. And of course, the application process would end by the time the first couple of days of class start.
And then can you explain live-in learning communities a little bit more?
So with the living learning communities, depending on what you have, the conversation you have with your advisor, what you declare your major as, or what you're interested in, you can go ahead and apply for those living learning communities. It's a separate application process on its own that you have to go through first year experience with. And they have an office of their own. If you just look up shsu.edu/first year experience, you can get in contact with them. It'll give you their office numbers and their emails as well. You'll be able to learn what I had went through earlier with what first year experience, or what communities, I'm sorry, are available. You'll be able to see there which one you may be most interested in. There's some there that are based on your major, and there are others there that are just based on what kind of student you want to be, or what kind of student you are, whether it's first generation, a Bearcat scholar, or any other type of scholarships. and you would just apply it through there. And then once you do get accepted, they will send you an email saying, okay, you've been accepted to our living learning community. Now these are the rooms that you can choose from within this dorm. And if at all, at some point you decide, okay, well, I don't want to live at that dorm, just get in contact with First Year Experience again, drop that application, and you'll be open to any of the dorms on campus.
Perfect. And yeah, there are a lot of benefits to that. So you would be pretty much in the same residence hall as people who are taking the same classes as your students. So studying things like that is just a lot easier because you're just around people who are taking, the same classes, going through the same thing. Private rooms.
So we don't offer any one-person private rooms only. The most we offer closest to that is going to be our private style dorms with like Raven Village, San Houston Village, and Bearcat Village. You'll still have a roommate, but you'll have a room to yourself. But you will still have a roommate within your dorm.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and someone did just mention this, but Parents Association actually has what they call lunchtime lives on Facebook. And so it's very similar to this. They get on Facebook Live and they'll kind of just talk about these things and questions. And there are also parents in there who have had students that have gone through this already. So it's definitely easier. You get that experience as well from them. So it's just more information that could be given to you. So what does that process for room selection look like, for dorm selection? So is it, if you paid October 1st, does that mean you'll get a better slot for your residence hall? Or if I'm paying today, what does that look like?
So we released the time slots in waves. We opened our housing application in October of 2020. So of course, I see someone there who asked if they paid on October 14th, where would they be? You would definitely be within the first round. So as the dates go on, those waves get to the first wave, next to the second wave, and then third wave. Excuse me. And of course, that's how really that goes. Once you, if you're paying it now, you would be a little bit later on the game regarding your waves of time slots. However, we do implore students still apply because we have a lot of rooms available on campus. And if you are an incoming freshman and you're required to stay on campus, you're guaranteed a dorm on campus. We're not just going to say, it's not available. We will find you a room. So.
Yeah, definitely. No camping for freshmen. I will put the Parents Association information into this chat, and they actually do have something really cool that is starting to come out, and it's called a parent portal, and it's just another way for parents to talk to each other. Parents Association puts out big bulletins of like when things are going on, parent weekend, just things like that. So let me put that in there, and then and how can someone verify? So if I've picked my roommate, how can I verify that her and I are have chosen each other and we're good to go?
Besides the housing portal itself, where it says that y'all have been linked, you can get in contact with the Residence Life office and talk to any of us, and we'll be able to take a look at your profile here on our computers. We can confirm for you.
Okay, perfect. Let me see. So is there a chance, so someone mentioned if my roommate is in the first round to pick their bed and then another person's in the second round, is it still possible that they could pick each other?
Yes, it is. So students can't cut in line. So if you have the later time slot, of course, you won't be able to select when your roommate is selecting. But what your roommate can do, and it's completely up to them, if they want, their time slot can come up. They can choose a room for themselves or choose a room for both of y'all. She can't fill both bed spaces within that dorm, but she can fill one of them, and hopefully that other bed is still available by the time your time slot comes up. If not, the other student there can just find a way to, like I said, you can change your dorm all the way up until July 15th. So you can both find a dorm once the other student's time slot comes up that has 2 beds available for them. I can say right now, one great piece of advice is if you both have a dorm that you both really want to stay in, but you can't seem to find any rooms with 2 beds in them, just both select a dorm within, or a room within that dorm. And then what you can do is on move-in dates and stuff, you can try and figure out a way, get in touch with your roommates and say, are you okay with switching dorms? Are you okay with moving around? Because at that point, it's just a small sign of paperwork with your RA, so you can get that done in a cinch. It's pretty easy.
Yes. And we did have someone ask about advising, and that was our previous event, but yes, any incoming freshman that will need to get advised in order to register for their classes, all of that. There is still time to do that. There always is. So you'll be able to make your appointment online, or you can, if Heather can, she'll go ahead and put their phone number in the chat, and you can just make an appointment with them. And that's really just so that you're not trying to become an accountant, but you're taking dance classes and other things that you would just be paying extra money for. Other than that, I think we are pretty much out of time, but I will go ahead and put that advising phone number and then the link again to our page to where all of these videos are housed at. And like I said, if y'all have any questions, please call our office, email us. We can definitely get y'all into the right direction of where you need to go, and we can get things figured out. I know that a lot of the times it's just like, where are we supposed to be at? What are we supposed to be doing? Please call us so we can step-by-step walk you through what you need to do. And if needed, your student can make an appointment with one of my students just like this via Zoom, and they can share how they do things, how they register for classes, how they picked a residence hall, all of those different things. So I will put that all in the chat as well. But thank you all again for coming, and I really appreciate it. I hope that y'all got some of your questions answered. And to my presenters, thank you so much for being here, taking some time out of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.